activities and have to work long hours. So you may be their parents in future, or maybe you are grandparents now. So when your your child or children enter the school, do you think that teachers do not necessarily political activities? Yeah.
Okay, so first we have to change your thinking.
Yes.
Okay, understood. And my next question is, why not recruit professional sports player as like a soccer team coach or something like that? Because they retire at an early age, like 30s or 40s, so maybe it could be suitable second career for them. What do you think about this idea?
Actually, some teachers and some professional players participate in their local speech, local sports community or like that. But many of the professional player, they tend to lead their not school productivities, but outside of the productivities. So I want the professional retired player should lead school productivities. Yeah.
Okay. My next question is you actually joined as a school volunteer of the school we graduated from, the alma mater. Well, I would like to help my school, which I graduated from, but I feel awkward to contact the school I don't even know. Hello, can I help as a school volunteer? They would think I'm kind of strange or something. So what kind of advice would you give?
First of all, you don't have to come to the school. You have to come to the education committee or not directly to the school, to the education committee. So education committee asks you which school would you like to work for, like that. So you don't have to hesitate to directly contact their school. Yeah.
Okay. Great. And maybe my last question. Well, you suggested us to join as a school volunteer as what we can do individually.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one idea, that's good, but I think that it's a government's responsibility to change the situation regarding the teachers' tough situation. So what kind of suggestion would you give to the government?
I strongly think that I do agree with you because the government should change the system because their teachers is the official worker, the government employs their teachers. So that is their government pursuit, I think. So government should change the system that teachers do not have to lead activities. Yeah.
Okay, the time has come. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kubota and Ms. Sugiyama. Now, judging time.
Now, let us welcome the third speaker. The third speaker is Mr. Tenfu Matsushita from the University of Tokyo, but unfortunately he is absent today.
Now, let us welcome the fourth speaker. The fourth speaker is Ms. Arisa Kawamura from Waseda University. She will deliver her speech under the title of Be a Heroic Taxpayer. Be a Heroic Taxpayer. Ms. Kamila, please come up to the stage and make a Only Muhammad record.
Excuse me. Thank you, Masters of Ceremonies and distinguished judges. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
When I close my eyes, I still remember my grandma's house with the red roof, the yellow promenade of ray blossoms, the rainbow-colored fireworks along the coast. Every vacation, I spend 4 hours visiting my grandma's house in Miyagi Prefecture every vacation. I stay there for a month every time, so it is my second home with tons of colorful memories. One day, there was a turning point where I cannot visit my grandma's house anymore. 3/11, the Great East Japan earthquake. After the earthquake and following tsunamis, all of our dear places were completely painted in black and white. Nearly 16,000 lives were lost. More than 1 million houses were damaged. Most of us felt the tragedy at first hand, and we know the victims' pain after tsunamis. However, current measures focus on reduction of damages from secondary disasters, but not prevention from primary disasters. This is why I am standing here to talk about the requirement of additional countermeasures to protect people's lives and homes from tsunamis. I hope my small voice and everyone's small action will change government's policies and fulfill the sufficient level of prevention. Although Japan is known as earthquake-prone country, the government's policy for disaster prevention is not appropriate. In 30 years, there are 90% of possibilities an earthquake of Tohoku region, with magnitude 8, 70 to 80% in Nankai Trough earthquake with magnitude 9, and 70% in Tokyo inland earthquake with magnitude 7. After 3/11 and these announcements, many municipalities have realized their larger countermeasures and started to amend them, such as advancing evacuation planning and hazard maps. On the contrary, mitigation from initial arguments like seawalls isn't prepared well. Despite the fact of 3/11, that 90% of death was drowning and 90% of destroyed buildings was caused by tsunami. Even local governments of particularly concerned regions only stated, reviewing of preventive facilities for tsunamis is necessary, but did almost nothing. Even though they know its horribleness and have noticed the need of rectifying the current measures, why many municipalities have not taken the next step? That's because it needs a large sum of money. In fact, the local government of Hamamatsu City had finally started the development of a seawall when a 3-year donation of 30 billion yen is secured by a local company. This means that if we choose to donate, then 6 million people need to pay 10,000 yen to cover the rest of the area. How unrealistic. It's obvious that this issue cannot be solved only with individuals' little money. Therefore, securing citizens' lives is supposed to be the central government's task, since local governments doesn't have much money. Why small groups like Hamamatsu City case try to protect their hometown with their money? I wondered, what are you doing, government? Why is the priority of solving this issue too low? What's more important than their lives?
we keep living this issue. And imagine if the concerned earthquakes occur. We would just stand there and look at how thousands of millions of lives will be deprived. I don't want that. Since the government won't change, we must be unified and make it top priority. Then how can we revise its priority? It is Hometown Tax Donation Program, Furusato Noze in Japanese. It is named donation, but this is actually appreciated as tax saving. Moreover, you can get indigenous products in return for the tax you pay. Last time I tried, I got Japanese black tea from Okayama City for my grandma's birthday. And yes, it was a bit expensive for me as an honorary student, but I realized that such expense is substantially a little high there. So isn't it easy to start with the basis of one's improvements? More importantly, you can design the use of your money. At the website, Furusato Choice, you can search for the uses of your paid tax. So you can, on the search tab, you can just type disaster prevention to identify which municipalities are around. As there's a growing trend for local governments to put emphasis on collecting more money, our purchasing power can increase its number taking such measures. In addition, if this kind of small action increases, then the government, followed by public voice, will definitely change. Nonetheless, I didn't mean that I didn't force you guys to specify Furusato Noze, because it is just one way to attract government's attention. What's important is that every single person perceives the preventive measure the first priority and takes a small action to deliver the message to the government. Remember how the damages and scale of 3/11 exceeds all the eminent scholars' predictions, and we had experienced the nightmare. We know how they forced to leave their homes, how their memories were destroyed, and how the raging tsunami stuck to our mind. That's why we must not let this happen again. It will be 10 years in half of a year from 3/11. And it's impossible for me to enjoy my break with my grandma in the same scenery, and my grandma cannot forget her memorable places in black and white. However, our small action can be a trigger to a chain of action. So ladies and gentlemen, now is the time to be united and make it top priority. From now on, let's be a heroic taxpayer to keep everyone's memories colorful. Thank you for listening.
Now, we will have a 4-minute question and answer session. Mr. Kubota, please.
Okay, hello, Arisa-san.
Hello.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear the story about your grandma. Where is she living now?
She moved to Tokyo and close to my house.
Oh, okay. Well, as for the questions, well, my first question is that, as you may know, Izumi-Sano City in Osaka is very famous for their gorgeous thank you gifts. Many people pay the city.
Yes.
But, well, some local governments don't give us that much thank you gifts, and
Yes.
as a result, can't earn enough money.
Mhm.
So, what do you think about this kind of unbalanced situation?
So I agree with you that a lot of people choose the local governments in terms of their gift, and I also want it, but we know this fact. So at the beginning, we may not be able to get great gifts. But like if we keep doing that, and as a result, we can get the great gifts because like I said that there's a growing trend that the local governments collecting more money from the citizens outside their prefecture. So yeah, now is the only time we cannot get the great gifts.
Okay. My next question is that actually we judges are all working now, and we are actually taxpayers
Yes.
and already paying reconstruction special income tax. That is 2.1%
Yes.
of the income tax.
Yes.
We are already paying enough, more than enough.
Yes.
Why do we need to pay extra tax? Why do we have to burden?
So, and the first point is that like because we know the nightmare we experienced, and so like this is like hometown tax donation program, but this is actually used for tax saving, and then and you may know that the sum like I think 30% of the paid tax is used for like getting the gifts or something like that. But this can be used for tax saving also. And you said that you allow the adults pay the special reconstruction tax, and I believe that this tax will be like if the like great earthquake occurs like today, and then you will pay for the next like another like additional special reconstruction tax. So you will pay for it anyway. So like by using the way of tax saving, we can reduce the risk of additional special reconstruction tax. Does that make sense?
Well, okay. And my last question. Well, as you say, we can make a choice of how the government use our tax. No choice, right? But talking about disaster, we are in the midst of disaster, the COVID-19 disaster. So if I have an opportunity to do the Furusato Nose, maybe I would like to choose to help the hospital rather than the disaster prevention, like earthquakes or things like that, because it is happening right now. What do you think about this opinion?
Thank you for the great question. And I agree with you that I think some of you really want to pay for COVID-19 rather than disaster prevention. But like firstly, it takes time to like maybe do the research and construct. And then in speech I mentioned about the Hamamatsu City's SIBO, and it spent like 8 years, I believe, to construct. So like I know that it takes time, so we need to move to action, so that, and also the government's awareness that COVID-19 is already raised, and especially about this issue, government's policies priority is really, really low, and so that we need to make action for disaster prevention.
Okay, so we need the current disaster and also for the prevention of the future disasters.
Yes.
Okay, time has come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kota and Ms. Kawamura. Now, judging time.
Now, let us welcome the fifth speaker. The fifth speaker is Mr. Yuji Ogawa from Keio University. He will deliver his speech under the title of The True Media Literacy. The True Media Literacy. Mr. Ogawa, please come up to the stage and make only one record.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies and honorable judges. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. When I was a freshman, I was fascinated with speech activity. I was moved by persuasive speech and was eager to make it. However, through this process, I ignored information that was my claim and made up a story. Yes, I consider my claim as the only one truth, and I couldn't see other data and opinions. In fact, a crucial problem of modern society is hidden in this experience. What is this? Media literacy. According to the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications, media literacy is the ability to read and write media actively. And speech is a kind of media in terms of means to send information. Oh, you have already know media literacy. But surprisingly, we need to change our perception of media literacy for a reason. So today, I would like you to rethink the attitude toward information and the true meaning of media literacy. I hope you can face information neutrally with a wider view. Like in my case, people who stick to their own choices tend to receive information that suits them. Post-truth generation. This word, which describes the situation, was chosen as a word of the year in 2016 by the World Extremes. This means this tendency is a social phenomenon. If we stick to our own choices, we can't see other perspectives. It is called the echo chamber effect, which we only see the content that reinforces the claim in respective communities. In this situation, we assume the information we have is the only one truth in the world, so we can realize its abnormality and see other perspectives. Moreover, such people try to enlighten others for their justice by spreading the truth. Because of this, and the echo chamber effect, the individual and society become intolerant by being ignorant of the other perspectives. Yes, this phenomenon has a lot to do with the division of society. Comparing and analyzing different information, all you should do is extract only the fact. You may have heard of these methodologies of media literacy, right? But surprisingly, they're just impossible ways to try to reach the only one truth. In my case, I have chosen mindfulness among much information, and even if I extract only the fact, I interpret the fact to lead my truth. Like this, these methodologies have no use whatsoever, unless we understand one point. The point is to know about truth. Truth is a true set of certain matter for each person, while the fact is something that can be seen, the same for everyone. For example, I am delivering my speech now. This is a fact. And audience is listening to my speech. This is a truth for me, because some people may be thinking about today's dinner now. But for me, the audience is listening to my speech, hopefully. Like this, truth can be interpreted and be different from person to person. So it is almost impossible to certify objectively information we have as the most relevant truth. Yes, to recognize what is truth, this is a true meaning of media literacy. So what should we do? let us look for the other truths. Only after we realize there are numerous truths, we can accept the other truths. This will make the opportunity to have more choices of information. Next, keep pondering the information we have. As we can certify information we have as most reliable truth, all we can do is keep pondering it about whether the truth can be unreliable. By accepting this, we can doubt and analyze the information we have. I realized this when I participated in a speech contest. In the reflection, an honorable judge pointed out a contradiction in my speech and told me his truth. At this moment, I realized my truth was not only one truth, and even felt guilty to be narrow-minded to stick to one truth. Breaking my memory back, I sometimes impose my perspective on my lecturing club. This identification made me look at the other perspectives and keep pondering the information I have, speech. By understanding the truth itself, these methodologies of media literacy, like comparing information and extracting a fact, become effective ways to ponder information. That is because they are changed to impossible ways to try to reach only one truth, into possible ways just to analyze and extract information. That is, we can make the opportunity to look at the other truths by comparing different information. And by extracting a fact, we can eliminate the bias to doubt and analyze information. Like this, by understanding the true media literacy, you can these methodologies begin a value. Some people might say, if so, how can we make a decision? To tell the truth, you may decide based on your truth. That is because we can certify information we have as the most reliable truth. We have no choice but to make a decision based on our truth. However, if we can accept the variety of truths and keep pondering our truth after the decision, we can avoid sticking to one truth. Since then, I have pondered on the information I have, especially in a speech activity. I have considered the other truths by comparing different opinions and have kept pondering on it by relating. By doing so, I can see the other perspectives, and KSS speech section members also started to ponder and discuss what is speech. As proof of it, I made a speech, not the proceeding, but a very ponder. Yes, my speech is just from the sources of information, which shows from the truths. So ladies and gentlemen, it is up to you to believe what I'm saying. You will understand I'm not joking. If you realize the true media literacy, you will start to doubt and ponder my speech. And this time, I will be all smiles to achieve my goal of this speech. Thank you.
Now, we will have a 4-minute question and answer session. Mr. Kubota, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Yuji-san. Okay, so let's have question on session one. My first question is, let's talk about the media itself. Media might tell a lie because they're companies, yeah, they need to earn profit,
Yes.
and to earn profit, they may kind of concern the audience rating choices. Okay, and make some kind of catchy titles and just make up stories, things like that. So how can we judge that?
The important thing is there is no absolute right truth. Of course, it applies for the daily mass media. Like that, after we recognize this, we can only after we recognize this, we can take some action, like the competition methodologies, and it becomes very effective for this problem. So the important thing is that to recognize there is no absolute truth, even in the mass media, which looks very, very reliable. This is the key point.
Well, but we make decision
Yes.
by considering the information we take. So what if the information itself was false or wrong, things like that?
I think, mm, I think of course, we always can make a good decision because, yeah, as you said before, the information is necessarily correct. But the important thing is after the decision and through making a decision, through making a decision, keep pondering is very important. And we have no choice but to do it.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the next question. Let's talk about some kind of the actual cases. Actually, we were talking about the kind of election in the States in the judging room. Some people say that, well, the Biden cheated in the election process. But there are some people who say, well, there is no cheating at all. What is your proof that you believe regarding the US election?
It's a difficult question because nobody has answered to. Nobody has the exact proof of it. But for me, the important thing is to compare. Only of course after we recognize the differences, that we compare the information from the Biden side and the Trump side, and of course the other side. By doing so, we can avoid sticking to one truth, at least. I think this is the first step to ponder in this situation. Yes.
Well, maybe my last question. Well, I think that we have to, it's quite natural for us to rely on some kind of certain opinion. We are likely to stick to that, right? And, if it was kind of something like wrong thing, we need to have courage to admit our mistakes or admit other opinions. How can we have that courage to change our opinions?
I think the process of pondering is a good way to get used to the correcting our way of thinking about this problem. That is because if you keep pondering, keep thinking about this question, maybe of course in this process you will face a situation which have to change your opinion. So of course by experiencing this process many times, we can get used to we have the courage to change opinion.
Okay, time is gone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kubota and Mr. Ogawa. Now, judging time. The four speakers in the first session have finished their prepared speeches. Now, the judges will leave this hall. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up and give them a round of applause. Please be seated. Now, we will have an intermission until 14:15. Please be seated by 14:10. これより14時15分まで休憩とさせていただきます。5分前の14時10分までにはご着席くださいますようお願い申し上げます。
なんかどうだったんだろう。多分 Wi-Fi がマジどうだった今はまだ限定公開のままで、今非公開、一瞬非公開。また切っちゃうと、また URL が新しくなっちゃうので、非公開で。
LINE 見てくれた？
LINE はい見まし
で、
た。
なんか、リンカに見てもらってなんかスピーカーが遠い、顔が見えないらしいから、近く
なるほど。今は通常なんですけど、
止まってる？
今止まっ
配信
あれ
配信してない？
今に
焦らないでゆっくりやる。
一回これファーストセッションで切って、また違う URL を流すって感じ。
こっちの方がいいかもしれない。
今回だとそうだね。今回だと全然本人しか見れない。
そういうふうにして、で、また1週間になったら、
あ、そういうことか。
1位について
そうなんだ。
まあでも、
誰かは見れない。
それでもいいんだけど、非公開だったらどうせ誰か、まあ URL 変わっちゃうからね。
あ、ここら辺、ズームのスペシャリストだから。
でも、福沢とか別にファーストセッションで全部切っちゃって、新しい URL とかを、なんかセカンドセッションと違うんですみたいな。なんかでも、この動画ってさ、
楽っちゃ楽。
あ、じゃあもう一回 URL を。
多分パソコンの負担にもなるし、
はい、確かに。
そう、充電しなきゃいけなくなっちゃうとかしたらめんどくさいから、
したら今
切っちゃって。
切っちゃった。